Hey guys, Coach Erinne here on another Friday. I'm so excited. We have another rock star to celebrate. It's really bad weather here in Miami. It's been raining. We just got done picking mangoes with the family. But Camila Lupi is our guest today. There, I'm going to invite. And she's got a great story to tell. So she's all the way out in Hawaii. Welcome, Camila.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
I know. What time is it there? I know it's Big Maddie Reed. What's up? So
Yeah,
what's
it's
up?
8.
It's 8. Okay, not too bad. I know last time
No.
I made you, I made you sign on it, and you were like, it's 6 a.m., Erin. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, the
So,
time difference is big, but I'm getting used to it because everyone is on the East Coast. So,
right. That's awesome. Okay, well, welcome, Camila Lupi. And why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what you do for a living to start with?
yeah, sure. So, I work for a company called Backroads that leads active travel trips around the world. So, we do a lot of bike trips, we do hiking, all kinds of like multi-sport trips. And as a leader for them, I get to travel pretty much. I get the opportunity to travel all over, which is really cool. So after I raced in Hawaii last weekend, I told my company I was going to be here, and now I'm scheduled to work here for the summer, which is really awesome and a cool opportunity.
That's amazing. So, do you get to
Yeah.
stay on Kona on the Big Island, or where are you posted?
Yeah. They provide housing for us, so the leader house is in Kona, which is like, oh, it's a really sweet spot.
Oh my God, you're so
Yeah,
lucky. I'm
I
so
know.
jealous. All right, well let's get back to okay. So you have an amazing job. How old are you?
25.
25. And how did you and I meet?
We met, actually, I believe it was in 2017. So I was still in college at the time. And I was wanting to do my first half marathon.
Right.
And my mom had trained with you before and was training with you at the time for her half marathon stuff.
Right.
And I didn't really know where to begin. And so she brought me along one day, and I started working with you just for running
Right.
for a while. And
Yeah, I
while I
remember.
was home for breaks and stuff like that in Miami. And that's how I met you. That's how we started.
Yeah, that's how we started. And we had a great connection. You were, so full of life, and I loved your energy. And, we did have some setbacks even then. I remember like maybe a stress fracture or something came up, or there was something that we were dealing with. I mean, that was a long time ago. But I
Yeah.
do remember that you were like really into the fitness side of things. And maybe, you would like really took it on as something that was a passion of yours, right?
Yeah, for
And at
sure.
that time, did you ever consider triathlon?
I had thought about it. I was being a runner in college. I didn't run for my school's team, but I ran for the club team, and I was friends with a lot of athletes in school. And I knew people who were doing triathlon. And especially being with Full Circle at the time, like even just running, I remember everyone trying to always get me to come to bike and swim. And they're like, you'd be so good at it. You should try
Right.
it. And I'm like, maybe. But I just never really considered it for those years. So at
Right.
that time, it just like wasn't really it was something sort of in the back of my mind, but I hadn't really considered it seriously.
Right. So then what changed? Because I got a phone call from you. I believe it was either November or December of last year, right?
Yeah.
So what changed?
Okay, so it's so funny because it's like people ask me why I signed up for 70.3. I was like, I just wanted to do it and I did it. But I think it was a combination of a few things. When I started my job last year, I got a lot more into biking because I was leading a lot of the cycling trips. And as leaders, we bike a ton. And it wasn't necessarily in any racing capacity, but I learned a lot about bikes. And I had the access to resources because cycling can be sometimes resource intensive as a sport.
Yeah.
So having people to bike with, having bikes, having just all of that, I got really into biking. I was still running, and I was just around a lot of really inspiring, cool people. The people I work with have done all kinds of stuff, from like hiking the Pacific Crest Trail to full Ironman. So I was working with one girl this one time, and she was telling me how she just completed an Ironman. And I remember thinking, at the time on my bucket list, like for life, I had completing a half Ironman.
Okay.
And I was like, that's not enough. Like, I was like, no, I need to start this now. I was like, that's so cool. And it's just like these people who had done these just incredible things. And I mean, I was an athlete my entire life because I grew up, I was a competitive gymnast growing up.
Huh?
So I was like really missing that side of, like, I've been active and I'd been fit and I'd done a few half marathons, but I was really missing that more, like, just more of a challenge. Like, I was missing that more competitive side of
Right.
like something tough and like a community as well, just all of that.
Right.
And it kind of just hit me. I was like, I'm ready for, I finished my busy season of work last year, and I was like, I'm just ready for a big challenge in a different way. And I remembered that I had wanted to do a 70.3. I was like, I'm just going to sign up. And then I called you.
That was awesome. Yeah, I was super excited to hear the call or get the call. And we decided right away to just get started on my 6-month triathlon training program, because that was exactly our timeline to Hawaii, the 70.3. So you fell right in line as far as the timeline for the triathlon transformation program, right? So I was like, this is perfect. I was so excited. And we got right to work on your evaluations, and we did, find some inefficiency, especially in your mobility, right? There was definitely some inefficiencies in your mobility that I have my minimums. I have all those assessments in place for a reason. And if you're not at the minimum, then we know you're going to struggle in the performance thing. And I just want to, say congratulations to you, because you took every single suggestion that I made and you adapted and you improved it. Like, there was nothing that you did not improve during that 6-month journey, from your flexibility, from your strength, right? From your swimming, your biking, and your running, the details of each sport. We tested you right away off the bat. We tested your swim, your bike, your run. And we also had a bike fit, right? We upgraded everything that we could on the bike to help you have the best performance you could have. And then we got to work on the training, right? It was all that stuff kind of happens at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And we also planned out your year, or your 6 months, right? Your annual training plan, which is key. And I had you make sure to race a few short course races, right?
Right.
So was there anything in that period that you were like, okay, this is more challenging than I thought, or unexpected, that you didn't know you had some inefficiencies? Or tell us about those first, 2 to 3 months.
Honestly, I was just really excited to be learning about everything, because I just didn't know much about triathlon or really any of that. So I wouldn't say there was anything I was surprised, or that because I sort of just went into it with no expectations, because I knew and understood that I didn't know much, and I was just open to learning about it. I wasn't, honestly, all the like mobility inefficiencies I kind of knew. So I was like, okay, it was just helpful to learn how to work on them, but I don't think it was surprising that I had them.
Yeah.
And same with everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. No one's perfect. You don't show up to start training for a triathlon or any kind of event and have perfect symmetrical mobility and strength. And that's my job. That's where I really pride full circle on, is that we have these systems in place to assess you, to make you as symmetrical as possible, and also help prevent injury. And it wasn't a straight shot. Rarely do we go through 6 months of training and not have some kind of setback, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I do remember you, like 3 or 4 weeks in, like sending me that video of your foam roller stretches that I gave you for homework.
Yeah.
And you were like, yay! And I'm like, yes, she's doing her homework. Like, I know it's going to work. It's going to pay off, because the more flexible you are in your upper body, the better you can get streamlined in your swim, right? So there's always a reason for all that stuff that I was giving you. And then also the video analysis of your running, changing your running form a little bit to get you more falling forward, not heel striking, right? And you really, you took on everything, you took it seriously, and you made the changes you need to get faster. So let's talk about your first tests, because I feel like that's kind of the baseline where we assess everybody from. So do you have your times from your first run test?
Yeah, it was the first mile test it was in December, I believe, or January, was 7:09.
7:09. And what did we get your run test down to? I think we tested like 3 weeks out from.
Yeah, we tested April. It was 6:29.
6:29. Awesome. And we also had to deal with a little bit of a running injury in your Achilles, right? Or was your calf?
Yeah, it's like my Achilles soleus.
Yeah. And so we were able to manage it, even though we didn't lower your volume. You just kept managing it with your massage, with your stretching, and your strength training. And it didn't turn out to be an issue on race day, right?
No.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment in 6 months, right? So let's talk about your swim. How about your swim? Where did you improve on the swim?
Everywhere. I mean, it's just like, I remember the first time I got in the pool and it was just like everything was wrong. But I mean, time-wise also improved. I don't remember the exact times from the first from my first test. But I do know that that the test improved and then my threshold pace improved significantly. Honestly, I would say swim, the biggest thing was like definitely technique, but I'm not really seeing myself. So it was all based on, I just feel a lot better in the water. Like it felt, I remember slowly, like every time I got in the pool, I just felt, everything felt smoother. It felt like just easier, but you know, like just like more effortless.
Yes.
Sort of.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want. So the smoother and more effortless you swim, the faster you go. Right? So the more you can slip through the water, the more the water lets you through, and then you can push harder. What was your swim time for the race in Hawaii?
Pace, I think was around 41.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was, I think, the biggest improvement. Like especially for open water, I remember the first couple open water practices in Key Biscayne. There's like 2 buoys there. There's a shorter one and a farther one. And honestly, even a few months in, I was like still not super comfortable swimming to the farther one. Not because of like I'm not afraid of, it's not a fear of open water, but honestly just like aerobic wise, I didn't feel like I could go swim that long open water without taking a break.
Right.
And that it's just kind of incredible, that definitely, because now, you know, swimming in the race course or even in the days before, I was just swimming as far as I needed to, and it really didn't feel like scary or hard at all. So that was a big noticeable change for me for the swim.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. Okay, and let's talk about your bike, because you did get an amazing, beautiful, sweet bike.
Yeah. I love her.
What did you get?
I got a white and pink Quintanaroo that was technically used, but she'd only ridden it 12 miles. So
yeah, you got such a sweet deal on the bike. It was great. Yep, if you need a bike on a budget, always search it out, because people buy bikes by accident. They buy the wrong size. There's usually always something to look for. Yeah. So you totally lucked out on that bike, and she is beautiful. And you got so much faster on that bike. Yeah. I want to talk about Ultimate Tri Camp, because I honestly hadn't been training with you. You know, you were coming to the groups or you were traveling, and we would miss each other at the groups a lot of times. Yeah. And then even at camp, you weren't in the group that I was coaching. So Ultimate Tri Camp, we have 3 different levels of groups. I was with the beginner people, and you were with Coach Jack. And so on the last day, or the second to the last day, we ended up in a group together. And I was literally shocked by your strength and speed on the bike. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, Camila is a badass on this bike. I am serious. I was like, she's pulling me the whole way home. We had to get home. I don't remember. We were late or something. And I was like, okay, let's all hit it. And I'm like, I'm going to have to pull. And then Camila like whipped around me and dragged me all the way back. I was like, she's such a badass. This is awesome. Like, I had no idea how strong you had gotten on the bike. And I do believe, like, the fact that you have been riding with your job, that helps, right? Just being on a bike pedaling, but now you knew where to apply the power and how to train, right? Yeah. The whole training concept, I think you never knew about that, right? Right, exactly. So when we first, you got a power meter. So like when you, before even the power meter though, just training your pedaling mechanics, having you do bridge repeats, having you do intervals where you were working harder, like VO2 max and lactate threshold, that was all part of the program, and you were getting so much faster. But when did you actually get the power meter? I only just got it. So I originally got a home trainer about
mid-April, I would say. And
Okay.
that had a power meter, but I
Yeah.
didn't actually have any power meter on my bike, honestly, until like a week before the race. So I didn't use power zones or anything for my race, but now I do have a power meter on the bike. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah, that's going to make you
The
even
training.
better. You know, having that real time number while you're riding is going to be a total game changer. Did you use your power numbers during the bike to help you stay like in the goal for the race?
I mean, honestly, I used more because I'd been training riding outside with just heart rate zones. That's
Yeah,
what I used more, but it was
perfect.
still cool to see the power numbers afterwards and look at that analysis, and because
Yeah,
that part is kind of new to me. So,
yeah, that's awesome. And the heart rate was what we had been doing the whole time before.
right,
So yeah, so
exactly.
I mean, I do think Ultimate Tricam was a big game changer in up leveling you for those 6 days of constant training. Like, can you speak to that? Like, how did that help you along your journey?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, definitely physically, like the 6 days of training was really good. I also just think that it was I so for the bike too, I mean, I don't know if we'll speak to this after, but for me, I think a lot of my bike training, like, or what holds me, if anything holds me back, for me it's like fear over fitness. So training tri camp really helped me conquer a lot of fears on the bike, which was great. But in terms of fitness, I mean, that too, like I was just riding with other people, I think was really helpful because there were certain, like, they're just people pushing me in different ways, whether it was like someone who was a slightly better than me up a hill or down a hill, and kind of just giving me that encouragement. And then just the consistent riding, that's just going to that just made me better just by getting out there and riding and doing it.
Yeah, especially when you have fear around like downhills. The more you do downhills, the less fear you're gonna have. You're gonna build your
Right.
confidence just by being out there and doing it, right? So yeah, so that's what Tri Camp is all about. You know, getting a little bit outside your comfort zone and then conquering that fear by actually participating in it and doing it. And you had the whole crew. We had such a great group this year, and I felt
Yeah.
like everybody really supported each other. And you were in the B group, and you definitely were in the B plus group. I mean, you were in the faster group by the end, especially. So I just really think that that was a total game changer for your confidence in
Yeah.
knowing that you were going to you're going to be fine for your race, right? Did you feel like it
Yeah.
really helped your confidence?
Oh yeah, for sure. It really did.
Okay, cool. So, honestly, after Tri Camp, I don't think I really saw you that much because you were traveling, but you had the
Right.
online program. You were checking in on the group calls. We were still assessing and retesting, as we got closer to race day. But let's go through the race because I love using your TriCalc 3, right? So www.tricalc3, I have all my athletes predict their race goal times. And they might make two, maybe their dream goal and the one that's maybe a little bit more realistic, especially for your
Yeah.
very first race. Your very first race, you don't know what to expect. It's all a big unknown. And I like to have a very conservative TriCalc 3 number. But if you want to, you can put out that faster number. That's your ultimate goal. But I feel like we dialed in your goal time really well. I felt like your bike was a little bit slow and your run was a little fast from what you predicted. But you ended up, why don't you tell everybody like what your goal, what your whole TriCalc 3 total time what was that you predicted you would race?
I believe that it was like 6:30.
It was, yeah. And
Yeah.
I thought you were right there. I was like, okay, perfect. So, and I looked at the time for the swim. I looked at the time for the bike. First of all, the swim conditions they couldn't be better. Like the
Yeah.
swim conditions in Hawaii, you can't ask for a better place for
Right.
a water swim. And let's talk about that, like how the swim felt with all the people though. Because how was it? Was it a rolling start or was it a
It
mass
was,
start? Or how did
yeah.
it?
So the way that the swim course was, the bay, like there was this kind of rock in between two little channels, so you could not have a mass start. Like not a lot of people fit.
Oh,
So
okay, cool.
it was three athletes every 5 seconds. So it actually wasn't like, I would say in even my short course races, it was way more like a ton of people.
Right.
The first group started at 6:20 a.m. The last group, which was me, started at 7:46. So it was over a really long time, and it
Yeah.
was only three people at a time. So that part, not bad at all. Like
Yeah.
I don't even think I ran in. I maybe touched like a few people, and that
Right.
was it.
Right. And you
Yeah.
felt great coming out of the water. There was no issues during the swim. Yeah.
No, the swim was really, really great because I mean, I think for me too, like I put a lot of pressure on myself for bike and run sometimes, but the swim, I've had this goal of like just, just like get into like a groove and try to enjoy it because I remember my first race, my sprint, the swim, I mean, I just still remember I was like, I'm canceling Hawaii. Like I can't do anything. And it was only what 400 meters. So ever since then, like my second race and this one, I just kind of calm down and do it. And I mean, like you said, the swim course, you could see the bottom the entire time. By the time I got in, everyone had kind of scared away the fish, but it was fine. It was still like really beautiful. And I just swam. Like I wish, I just kind of just did it. And I didn't feel like necessarily tired at any point. There were times where I felt like I was like, okay, I can push a little harder now. And it was a good time.
Yay! I love it. Yeah, so the swim for me is always the special time, no matter how hard it is or the conditions. For me, it's like my happy place, right? And being in Hawaii makes it extra special, that island itself. So I love that your time was so good. That's an amazing first time for a half Ironman, 41 minutes, amazing. Yeah. And so you did have some reservations about the bike because you actually had trained on the bike course a couple days before and you were really concerned about the crosswinds, which can be no joke in Hawaii. And you have some rim, wheels that can catch the wind sideways. And you also have that fear from that previous incident on the bike where, descending, you might, you were concerned, right? And I, kind of reassured you when we talked because I was like, Camila, you're so strong on the bike. I'm not worried about you at all. You got to trust yourself, right? So how did the bike course during the race go? How did it go plan out for you?
So I honestly think it went really well. I mean, I know that like I'm capable on another course of going a lot faster, but I'm not disappointed with my time on the bike because I feel like, first of all, the course, so it's over 56 miles, like 2,500 feet of elevation, but that comes from, that course is never flat. So it's like, if you have the grade on your Garmin, it's at 0% for maybe like 2 minutes of the entire ride. You're either always slightly up or slightly down. And so, and then, there's like this 6-mile climb right at the end before you turn around, which, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's hilly and it's also windy, and the crosswinds, they like luckily weren't too bad on race day, but there were a couple gusts that I was like, okay. And I sort of am learning, and even during the race, I think I learned how to better control the front of my bike during those crosswinds. So it was okay. But there were also a couple places where there were no pass zones. So sometimes I got stuck behind someone. So overall, like the time, I'm happy with. I think that's like what I could do. And I also really enjoyed it, which I think was important. I never felt like I was dying at any point or that I was pushing way too hard or that I was pushing too hard to be able to do the run. So the bike was really fun. Like I kind of was just out there enjoying, I mean, it's beautiful. And I felt like I was pushing like just right. Afterwards, I remember thinking, I was like, oh, maybe I could have pushed a little harder, but I know that, it was good.
But that's actually a good sign that most likely you can, right? With some more training, and we're going to get to what your next goals are. I can't wait to hear. But so I was really excited, watching the timeline on the app, the Ironman app. Your time was actually a little faster than you had predicted for the bike. And it was more in line with what I thought. You were close to 17 miles an hour, just under 17 mile an hour average. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's having the perfect race. Like, I was so excited for you because you're a runner. Like, you have a running background. That is your specialty. We can go back and talk about the last 2 or 3 races you did before because you did really, real well during the run portions of those shorter course races. So I wanted you to hold back a little bit on the bike so that you could show up on the run. But we did have some things to deal with, right? If the heat was real. You also started late. You were in the last wave, so it's hotter. Yeah. For sure. I was like, is she melting in the sun on the lava right now?
I was.
And then also is on the grass, right? So a lot of the run course is on the golf course, and that takes your energy, right? So talk to us about the run.
So the run was brutal. I mean, it was just for everyone. Like I've never seen so many people walking and like making noises on a race. It was hot and humid, and there was no cover. There was no cover on the course. The other thing that I think made a difference that I kind of realized after, because it was on a golf course, it wasn't only that it was on grass, but you're never just like able to kind of run and zone out. It was like windy and up and down, and sometimes you're on a slope. So it was almost like, it felt like a little bit of an obstacle course race. And there's 3 loops. And then the total elevation gain, I think, was like 230, but that all came from, I realized while running it, these like, you know, golf course hills, like these like really steep and like pitches up, that it was like faster to walk up than run up, because that's how steep they were. So it was just a mix of a lot of things that I think made the run really difficult. Yeah, so it was tough. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I remember at mile 2, I was like, am I going to finish the race? I was like, yeah, I'm going to finish the race. But
yeah, actually, I saw your first mile. I was like, okay, hold back a little bit.
I know.
Because, you know, my secret is I always tell my athletes to hold back that first 5K, and then they'll have more at the end. And you did. You found your sweet spot after that first mile, and you kind of stayed right in that sweet spot. And then, you know, this is where your nutrition comes in too. So if you didn't pace well on the bike, and if you didn't have enough nutrition, you would end up walking that run. And you didn't do that, right? You actually delivered I was totally impressed with your run time. It was like 2:10, right? 2:10.
Yeah.
That was exactly what we had predicted. And I think it was a little bit slower than what you had wanted, but I kind of knew with the heat what to expect. So
yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? It was like big on conditions this one.
Yeah, for sure. And your total time was
6:21.
Yay! So faster than your Tri-Calc 3 prediction. So that has got to feel good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so super proud of you, Camila. I just got to say, you show up. You know, there's certain people that when it's race day, they show up. You know what I mean? And you're definitely one of those people, because let's go back also, because we didn't cover this, but you did 2 sprints and 1 Olympic in your training plan to get ready for the half, because I'm a big fan of, you know, getting fast before going far. And why don't you tell us or share those results for the sprints and the Olympics, because you had some amazing results there too.
Yeah. So I did 1 sprint. I just did the Huntingtons. That was my first race back in February, and that went really, really well. My results, I got 3rd female overall in the race. It was awesome and surprising, and just, it was a really fun race. So, and
yeah, wait. And not many people can say that for their very first triathlon.
Yeah.
So you better own that. I want you to own that, girl. Okay.
For sure. And then the Olympic that I did a couple months, actually only like a month later, I got 1st place in my age group.
Yeah. And so did you feel like that short course racing helped you on race day, especially having no races before, doing any triathlons before?
I mean, for sure. I had to have done those. I just didn't, you know, even just transitions, right? Like I didn't know what that meant. Like I didn't know what that was like, and how to set it up or anything like that. So that definitely helped. And just like knowing how the swims start, and like, you know, we talked about like all the people in the water at once, or even like on the bike, right? Because I've done run races. So it was important to see like on the bike kind of the how to do, what is it, you know, bike courteracy, or how you race, you know.
Yeah, the rules of the race, right?
Exactly. The rules of the race, and
not drafting people. You had to
how
learn.
to pass. Yeah,
that's awesome. So I mean, I just want to say, in 6 months, you've become a triathlete and done your first half Ironman in such an amazing, respectable time. I couldn't be more proud of you, and I want to say thank you so much for choosing Full Circle Coaching to help you on your journey. And I would love to hear what thoughts you had, because the half Ironman, you're out there a while, and you're either feeling good, which I hear most of the time you felt pretty good. Now, when you cross the finish line, I usually have a rule that you really don't make a decision about any future races for 24 hours, because sometimes it's not the best day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when it is, you make commitments you might regret later. So
yeah.
I would love to hear what happened, the rest of that afternoon? Because I know you were on a high because you surpassed your goal and you're in Hawaii. I mean, like, you can't get, and I know you were drinking champagne because that's your drink, right? So tell me, what is next? What came out of your thought pattern there?
Yeah. So during the run, I told myself that I was never going to do it again. That quickly passed.
That's
and
normal.
yeah, I mean, I definitely think, honestly, I had, even before the race, I had already been looking up like my next races because I really enjoyed the training piece of it. And I just, I mean, the racing was amazing, but the whole build up to it, I just really liked. So I had already been looking at stuff. So as of now, my next like couple big goals I definitely want to do another 70.3 and more. And I want to break 6 hours. That's like a kind of clear cut goal for me. I know a lot of that is sort of course dependent or training as well, but that's one big thing. And then I want to work up to eventually, I want to do a full. I'm thinking like 2023. That's what is in my mind right now. But those are like, when I think of my two big goals, I'm like, break 6 hours, 70.3, do a full, cross the finish line for a full.
I love that. Yay!
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the triathlon lifestyle. You are officially a member. And the last 6 months has been so awesome. I'm super proud. So, as a part of my triathlon transformation program, you are the epitome of the perfect example of what can happen in 6 short months. So if someone was listening today and they were considering, doing what you did for this 6-month program, what would you say to them?
I mean, I would say if you've ever considered doing triathlon and you have like any hesitations or doubts, just try it. Just join. I mean, a few things. You're going to learn a ton. Any doubts you have in your capabilities, once you meet the community and the people and have the support that I've had through Full Circle, is going to go away, because it's just like I think the biggest thing, like being around so many people who've done all kinds of different things, all different levels, like such a supportive community definitely made the biggest difference. And then just like all the knowledge, like there's just so much to learn. And I also just like to learn about, I like learning. So it's just like a bunch of different factors and combinations of things come together to really be the best option in getting into triathlon and racing and any kind of big goal that you think that you for some reason have doubts about.
Right. Yeah, I love, if you guys want to read more, her blog today, her Rockstar blog went out, and I didn't know about the doubts that you had about yourself until I read your Rockstar report. And you were like, after the first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, my doubts just left, because I was like, okay. And I was like, oh my God, that makes me feel so good. Because we want to help you believe in yourself and what's possible. I know what's possible. I know I can get anybody across the finish line of any race that they want, but they have to believe in themselves, and you also have to show up, right? You have to show up. And I just want to commend you, because you really showed up, Camila, and I could not be more proud. And I'm so proud of you. I hope you're proud of yourself. Is your mom proud of you?
Yeah, she's really proud of me.
That's awesome. All right, well, enjoy Hawaii. I'm wishing
I will.
You well, and I will see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, girl.
Bye.